Hello, I am back, and today I plan on finishing up the Apologetic series that I started some time ago now. To do that, what I want to do is follow up on the last video that I posted about Ayaan, Hirsi, Ali. So in the last video in my YouTube Apologetic series, I talked about this woman named Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who was a Muslim and then became an atheist and now is claiming to be a Christian. And one thing I said in that video was that the next video that I do, I was going to show how her testimony about Jesus in this whole situation, how she's really doing presuppositional apologetics in her testimony as she's bearing witness and testifying to why she is now a Christian. So what I want to do is I want to read some bits of the article that she wrote on Unheard and show you one example of how presuppositional apologetics is done. I don't think she knew there was a technical term for what she was doing, but she did quite a good job, and it's pretty interesting to think about and read it. So here we go. Go to unheard.com, or you know what, just look up Ayaan Hirsi Ali. That's Ayaan Hirsi, and then Ali. Look her up, and then if you scroll down, you'll see an article called something like "Why I Am Now a Christian." Click on that, and you can see much of what I'm going to read here right now. So here we go. So she says, "So what changed? Why do I call myself a Christian now?" Well, she says this. She says, part of the answer is global. She says, Western civilization is under threat from three different but related forces. One, the resurgence of great power, authoritarianism, and expansionism in the forms of the Chinese Communist Party and Vladimir Putin. It's Russia. The rise of global Islamism. And lastly, or she says, which threatens to mobilize a vast population against the West. And lastly, she says, a viral spread of woke ideology, which is eating into the moral fiber of the next generation. So I'm not saying I agree with those things. I don't know if I disagree. I have not thought about them very much. But already, so she's already using presuppositional apologetics here. Presuppositional apologetics, if you remember, I said that it's essentially making the claim that nothing makes sense in this world, in this life, without God. Therefore, God exists because God makes sense of everything. Nothing can make sense without him. It's only when we bring him into the picture that we can make sense of what we have. Therefore, he exists. But with that said, we do presuppositional apologetics by showing the faulty presuppositions of other worldviews. And what she does in this article is she really comes at her former two worldviews, which were Islamism and atheism. But she's already saying, though, so she sees three problems in the world. And that's how she's beginning her testimony here. Why am I now a Christian? Well, part of the answer is global. There's three issues that are like huge threats to the world. She continues and she says, we endeavor to fend off these threats with modern secular tools, military, economic, diplomatic, and technological efforts to defeat, bribe, persuade, appease, or surveil. And yet, with every round of conflict, we find ourselves losing ground. We're either running out of money with our national debt in the tens of trillions of dollars, or we're losing our lead in the technological race with China. So she's saying that, okay, there's issues and the ways we've been trying to solve them are not working. She's building up to the big answer, which, spoiler alert, is Jesus. It's the worldview that Jesus brings to the table is what she's going to say is really the solution to everything. But let's keep going. She says, but we can't fight off these formidable forces unless we can answer the question, what is it that unites us? The response that God is dead, which is the response of modern atheism, seems insufficient. So right here, she's attacking the worldview of atheism. So too does the attempt to find solace in rules-based liberal international order. The only credible answer, I believe, lies in our desire to uphold the legacy of Judeo-Christian tradition. Now, we'll explain further what that means here as we go down. She continues, that legacy consists of an elaborate set of ideas and institutions designed to safeguard human life, freedom, and dignity, from the nation state and the rule of law to the institutions of science, health, and learning. As Tom Holland has shown in his marvelous book, Dominion, which I've actually listened to at this point, it was great, I'd recommend it to you, all sorts of apparently secular freedoms of the market, of conscience, and of the press find their roots in Christianity. So freedom of speech is involved in that, freedom of sharing ideas. All these things, she's saying, were won by and pioneered by Christianity, that worldview. So she continues, and so I've come to realize that Russell, she's talking about Bertrand Russell here, who had a big impact on her when she became an atheist, and my atheist friends failed to see the wood for the trees. The wood is the civilization built on the Judeo-Christian tradition. It's the story of the West, warts and all. Russell's critique of those contradictions in Christian doctrine are serious, but it's also too narrow in scope. She continues, to me, this freedom of conscience and speech is perhaps the greatest benefit of Western civilization. It doesn't come naturally to man. It is the product of centuries of debate with Jewish and Christian communities. It was these debates that advanced science and reason. And you can really see this. It's quite amazing that Christianity was really responsible for science and for reason. And people usually pit the two against each other. But she says again, it was these debates fostered by the freedom of speech pioneered by Christianity and the Judeo worldview, that advanced science and reason, diminished cruelty, suppressed superstitions, and built institutions to order and protect life, while guaranteeing freedom to as many people as possible. Then here she really gets to the heart of it. Unlike Islam, Christianity outgrew its dogmatic stage. It became increasingly clear that Christ's teaching implied not only Christ's teaching implied not only a circumscribed rule for religion as something separate from politics. It also implied compassion for the sinner and humility for the believer. So she's saying we have these problems coming. We've tried to answer them in all these different ways. None of them are working. The idea that God is dead hasn't worked because other pseudo religions have just come up to fill the place, but they don't unite people, which is what we need. Instead, they bring division. It'll get clear as we keep going here, if it's not clear yet. Yet I would not be truthful, she says, if I attributed my embrace of Christianity solely to the realization that atheism is too weak and divisive a doctrine to fortify us against our menacing foes. I have also turned to Christianity because I ultimately found I found life without any spiritual solace unendurable. Indeed, very nearly self-destructive. Atheism failed to answer the simple question, what is the meaning and purpose of life? I would have to agree. People can say that you just believe, religion is the opiate of the people, the opiate of the masses, right? And you say that, you know what? That's not the only reason why I believe, but I'll tell you what, it definitely does give me hope in an otherwise hopeless world. So she's just, I love this. I hope you're seeing how she is using presuppositional apologetics. She's saying, look, this is the thing that I think is the truth and is the solution and works in life, in my personal life, and in the whole of the world. She's giving Christianity and Jesus that much credit. So that's pretty big. She continues, Russell and other activist atheists believe that with the rejection of God, we would enter an age of reason and intelligent humanism. But the God hole, the void left by the retreat of the church, has merely been filled by a jumble of irrational quasi-religious dogma. The result of the world where modern cults prey on the dislocated masses, offering them spurious reasons for being and action, mostly engaging in virtue signaling theater on behalf of the victimized minority or our supposedly doomed planet. The line, often attributed to G.K. Chesterton, has turned into a prophecy. I love this. The quote is this: "When men choose not to believe in God, they do not thereafter believe in nothing. They then become capable of believing in anything." And I think that's true. By definition of religion, what is religion? Religion is very similar to the word worldview. Worldview. It has to do with worship. What do you worship? What does worship mean? Worship is how we orient our lives. What are we pursuing? What is at the center of our lives? What are we elevating as worthy? That happens in everybody's life. So you say, I'm not religious, but indeed, there is something filling that void. And it's probably less than Jesus in the life that he gives. She continues, though. In this nihilistic vacuum, the challenge before us becomes civilizational. We can't withstand China, Russia, and Iran if we can't explain to our populations why it matters that we do. We can't fight woke ideology if we can't defend the civilization that it is determined to destroy. And we can't consider Islamism with purely secular tools. To win the hearts and minds of Muslims here in the West, we have to offer them something more than videos on TikTok. The lesson I learned from my years with the Muslim Brotherhood was the power of a unifying story, embedded in the foundational text of Islam to attract, engage, and mobilize the Muslim masses. Unless we offer something as meaningful, I fear the erosion of our civilization will continue. And fortunately, there's no need to look for some new age concoction of medication and mindfulness. Christianity has it all. And this is coming again from a woman who, if you watched her speak, she would talk about the fact that she hit rock bottom in her life. She tried medication, she tried alcohol, she tried these things, and it wasn't until she found Christ that her issues were solved and are being solved. She continues, that is why I no longer consider myself a Muslim apostate, but a lapsed atheist. Of course, I still have a great deal to learn about Christianity. I discover a little more at church each Sunday, but I have recognized in my own long journey through the wilderness of fear and self-doubt that there is a better way to manage the challenges of existence than either Islam or unbelief had to offer. Again, that says it all. She's undermining, she's pointing out the flaws and the shortcomings of two other worldviews. And she's saying that Christianity is better. That's how you do apologetics right there. I would love to sit down with her and pick her brain about this and hear more of her thoughts on this. And maybe we can find, maybe they're out there. But what a great example of doing, again, presuppositional apologetics. Pretty cool. And at the very least, you might say, Wade, this is not taking logic and history, and this is not proving by philosophy or whatever that God exists, and more than that God exists in the form of Jesus Christ. Well, to me, I think it could, presuppositional apologetics could go that far, but at the very least, here's what I want you to think about. This and other ideas like this, there's a book called The Denial of Death, written by Ernest Becker. I don't even think he was a Christian. He was a secular psychologist. But in the book, he says that essentially we need some healthy worldview to abide by in this life. And he pretty much says that Christianity is honestly the highest one. So all this to say is that if you really know the Jesus of the Bible, if you really know him and his word, then you will want to believe. You should want to believe in reality. Another example of this is, say you have a family member who you love, who becomes terminally ill. For me, say I have that. I can imagine someone coming to me and saying, how can you believe and follow a God who would let this happen to you? And to me, that's kind of wild. I like to flip that question and I say, oh my goodness, I would hate to be without, I would hate to not have this God as one of my loved ones. I'm seeing him suffer and go in pain, and maybe his life, our hopes and dreams of what we thought we had are now changed. My God says that I will see him again. My God tells me that his suffering is going to end, that he's going to be in a place with no more of that. He's going to be in a place with perfection, with eternal joy. And I'm going to be there with him, and I'm going to get to celebrate without any sin in the world, anything that sin brings. I mean, how could I not want to follow God? The other option is to have none of that hope, in the name of being angry at God if he's out there. No, I cling to my God. So I hope this has been good for you to just further illustrate what presuppositional apologetics is, at least whet your appetite for it, maybe to learn more. And I hope it's showed you just a little bit maybe of the beauty of Jesus and life with him in the worldview that he has to offer. All right, have a great day. Oh, by the way, if there might be some more apologetics videos coming out down the road. I'm not sure. I was thinking about taking some of Aquinas's four points there and getting into a little bit of a classical apologetics. We'll see. But anyways, blessings to you. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.